Hi friends, welcome back to Cyber Haggis Command. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be discussing Heroquest and the recent Hasbro debacle. So sit back, like and subscribe if you want to see more games chat, and don't forget to bring your broadsword! Mocking small children in advertisements aside, for those of you who aren't aware, Heroquest was a dungeon crawler first released in 1989 by a combination of Milton Bradley and Games Workshop. It consisted of a card dungeon floor plan, plastic and cardboard scenery, and plastic miniatures. The general theme of the game will be familiar to most gamers. It's a dungeon crawler, so you complete quests, you fight monsters, you roll dice, you cast spells. You make your way through the quest book, facing different variations of the floor plan, different monsters, collecting treasure, collecting magic items, until you eventually face the dreaded Witch King. It's never a Wizard Queen. I don't know why. For many gamers of a certain age, this was the game that introduced them to fantasy wargaming and the wider gaming world. For a lot of gamers in their late 30s and early 40s, this was the defining game of their childhood. I mean, obviously not me. I'm only 22. There's a lot of nostalgia surrounding Heroquest, and of course, companies are always willing to tap into that sweet nostalgia money. There was a previous attempt to resurrect Heroquest called HQ25 by a company called Moon Design. Now, I'm not saying it was a scam. Other people said it was a scam. For legal reasons, I'm not saying it was a scam. I would, however, not have touched it with a 25-foot barge pole. Strangely enough, it turns out that they didn't actually have the rights to distribute it. So, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck. It's a duck. It was a duck. It was definitely a duck. And now Hasbro have thrown their hat into the Heroquest ring. The way that they've initially released this has caused some, shall we say, controversy amongst the gaming community. So I'm going to go through some of the differences between the old version of Heroquest and this new version of Heroquest, and try and find out why people might be a tad miffed. Hasbro initially released Heroquest 2020 on their own crowdfunding platform, and they were looking for $1 million. Now, a lot of people were already complaining about this. However, a lot of games these days are crowdfunded on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whoever, and they are quite often just used as a glorified pre-ordering system. So if you're about to release a game and you can avoid giving Kickstarter a chunk of your profits, why wouldn't you? It just makes sense. Hasbro have got a lot of money. They probably could have just released this as it is, but it's a 30-year-old game. They might be thinking, is there actually the interest out there? The problems start to creep in when you start looking at how much they're asking for it. So for the base game, they're asking for $99. Again, not really a crazy amount when you think that some games easily cost you in this range. However, when Heroquest was first released, it was £19.99. That's a 1989 money. If you put that into 2020 terms, that's actually about 50 quid. Taking the exchange rate into account, is $99 about £50? No, it's about 77. And then unfortunately it gets even worse than that, because you had to take shipping into account, and shipping outside of the United States of America was really quite extortionate. If you wanted it shipped to Canada, it was $130. If you wanted it shipped anywhere else, oh no, well, that's where it gets even stupider, because tough, it's only available in North America, unless you're in Quebec, because screw you, Quebec. So a game initially designed and built and incredibly popular in the UK is not available in the UK because I mean, Hasbro said it was reasons. Just kidding, there wasn't any reason. Though I would be surprised if they didn't release it elsewhere in the future, because money. Let's talk components. So the original Heroquest had a variety of monsters. So we had this gargoyle dude who looks a bit like a bloodthirster these days. You had some familiar guys. So you had undead and chaos warriors, orcs and goblins. But then you also had these guys, the Femir. We'll get back to them in a second. Femur, Fimer, who knows? The heroes were also quite generic. So you had an elf warrior, a dwarven warrior, a barbarian, and a wizard. Now, all these models have been completely revamped for the new version, with the exception of the femur, fee fi fo fum. Now, they never really took off as a race in Warhammer Fantasy. I believe there was some question over who actually owned the rights to them, and their lore was a bit, well, it's not very woke, to use 2020 terms. Now the new models, they look quite nice, they look up to 2020 spec. At the moment, there's only renders of them, so who can really tell? All the heroes are there, all the monsters are there, they look really nice. In fact, there are now female versions of the heroes as well, which some people took exception to because, of course they did. You don't want ladies ruining your hobby, do you? And they've updated all the boards and the scenery and the player handouts, etc. And it all looks nice and shiny. However, they've neglected to update one of the most important parts. The rules. Now, as much as I loved HeroQuest as a kid, and as much as I have massive nostalgia for it, like you all do, the rules aren't great. I mean, why would they do this? It's current year, and they're releasing a game with 1989 rules. HeroQuest is essentially baby's first dungeon crawler. It's roll dice, you're either lucky or you're not, the quests are simple. I mean, great. But this is a $99 game. It's not aimed at baby's first dungeon crawler people. It's aimed at people like me, people with this hairline, people with disposable income. Again, it is a $99 game, £77 in UK money. This isn't something that some kids just get to drop their pocket money on. This has seriously annoyed me. I just don't understand why they've done this. Oh, no, wait. I understand exactly why they've done this. They would have had to pay somebody money and take time over building a new set of 2020 rules. Why do that? You've already got the books. Just Xerox them. Just photocopy the thing and throw it in the box. My apologies. Clearly Hasbro know what they're doing here. They gave a 45-day period for this funding on their crowdfunding platform. $1 million. They hit it in a day. They knew this was going to be popular. They must have done. So the less money they spend on it, the more money they make. Fantastic. Great news for them. If you currently have a copy of old HeroQuest, is it worth getting this new copy? No. No, it's not. You can get copies of old HeroQuest on eBay. To be fair, they do cost quite a lot of money. Would it be worth getting this new version if you cannot find an old version? Again, I'm going to say probably not. It's a lovely nostalgic game, but it isn't a good game. I'm sorry to say that, but it isn't. There are better games out there. There are better dungeon crawlers out there. Take Mantic's Dungeon Saga, for example. That is a much better, far more up-to-date game, rules-wise, than HeroQuest is. Maybe the miniatures aren't as good. I still quite like them. But game-wise, it is a better game. And I'm sure there are many others out there that are just as good as that, if not better. So, if it came down to it, would I buy a copy of this new HeroQuest 2020? No, I wouldn't. But on the other hand, would I give away my old copy of HeroQuest? My precious. No, I wouldn't. Because it was a huge part of my childhood. It and Space Crusade introduced me to the world of gaming. And I wouldn't give that up for anything. At the end of the day, Hasbro might have made quite a lot of money off of this, but they've also made quite a lot of ill will. Their initial preview time for the new HeroQuest was 5 PM GMT, and yet no one in the GMT time zone can actually buy it. What were their marketing department thinking? Who thought that was a good idea? Everyone who had an interest in this game outside of North America is annoyed. I imagine the Canadians are quite annoyed at that shipping cost. I imagine the people in Quebec are annoyed at finding out that they're not actually part of North America. This game, without having the updated rules, is like having my face torn off and Justin Bieber's face put on in its stead. Yes, my face now looks better, but it's still my body. The core is still knackered. It's not a good game. I'm sorry if people disagree with me here. It is just a very basic dungeon crawler, and by just updating the miniatures and updating the boards and all the nice playing pieces, you haven't made it any better of a game. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed that rant. If you would like to see me rant some more about other games, please tell me in the comments below which games you'd like me to tear to shreds. I'm not doing Space Crusade. I love Space Crusade. There is nothing wrong with Space Crusade. Please like and subscribe for more of these crazy board game and war game rants. We'll speak to you again soon. Take care.